Good evening and happy Thursday. Welcome back to the Ghost Biker Garage. I'm your host, the Ghost Biker. And, if you've seen the promotions and everything that we've been putting out for the last couple days, we had a last minute change. The guys from Fallen Hour Radio, who was going to be on here tonight, they actually had some illness happen unexpectedly. So we've got those guys, C-Dale and Marcus, rescheduled for later on in the season, and they'll be here. But thankfully, my dear friend Jess Rogge, she stepped up and she's gonna join us tonight. And we're gonna have a really cool conversation. She joined us last year, and we had a great show. So I absolutely had to have her back. But I want to say hello to a few people over here in the chat room. Hey Russ, hey Michael, hey other folks we can't see if you're on here, but just want to let you know we are broadcasting in multiple formats tonight. Hey Scott, thank you so much for tuning in. Last week we started with broadcasting on both Facebook and YouTube, and it worked out really well. I am manning the chat room here, so I don't have a mod or anything, so just kind of bear with me as things come in. If you have a question, I would like to ask that you put your question in all caps so that I'll know that you have a question to ask. And once we get to a break in the conversation, we'll pull it up here on the screen. But I'm looking here. We're also on LinkedIn tonight. Excited about that. So we're broadcasting Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and then also on Saturday night, we're going to be on Mix 104.1. mymixtv.com. So again, hello everyone. Sherry, D Hoot, thank you all so much. Want to take care of just a little bit of business before we get to tonight's guest. Over the weekend, I actually met with the Widow's Sons Masonic Lodge Riding Association and their Hillbilly chapter in Robbins, Tennessee. They're the ones that I partnered with last year, and we did the first annual Harold Young Dart Run. And the all proceeds to that go to a scholarship. It's named in honor of my dad, who was a science teacher, and it's creating a scholarship for a student who is looking to go into the field of science. And so we're going to be given the scholarship from last year this coming spring, but we're going to be raising money for next year's scholarship. So we've got information about that up on the YouTube page, Facebook channel, and we'll be posting the exact dates and all the information. But just kind of to give a heads up, the date for that ride, I want to make sure I tell you right, is May 14th. And that's going to start at 10 a.m. And it's going to be Eastern time, run from 10 until 2. There'll be 3 stops. The Historic Scott County Jail is going to sponsor this year, and they're going to be one of the stops. And so all vehicles are welcome. You don't have to be a biker. So just wanted to go ahead and put that out there because we had a great planning meeting with the Masons last week. But we got a full schedule as well. The show is booked up through April. We're really excited about that. So we've got some great guests coming to you guys every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time here on Shop Talk Live from the Ghost Biker Garage. We'll be sharing a little more information about that coming up. So just want to let you guys know we are booked through April. So got some really cool and exciting things going on. But I'm going to go ahead and get into tonight's guest, not waste any time on that. I want to go ahead and read her bio here. Jess Rogge is the host of the Rogge Report and the Rogge Report News. Her mission with her work is to bring forth the truth and help people to look beyond the mainstream narrative. Throughout her life, Jess has been researching fringe topics and even questioning the nature of reality itself. From a young age, she developed a fascination with the fringe, and she still has that fascination today. Her undying drive to learn and know more, combined with her desire to share information with others, led her to pursue a degree in broadcast journalism and television. While she decided against pursuing a career in the mainstream news, Jess was able to take this knowledge and experience to redirect it to topics she finds most important. She has dedicated the majority of her life to researching the hidden facts behind the alternative topics, allowing her to stay on top of the latest news and crucial topics in the fringe community. So without further ado, I'm going to bring on my friend, Jess Rogge.
Hi, thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I'm glad I got in because if not, it's like not till April.
Yeah, yeah. That's yeah, we booked up pretty quick with,
Good.
with everything going on with the jail and all of that. I was trying to kind of book out as far as I can, and so yeah, we got a full schedule. So I really appreciate you being able to come on and talk with us tonight.
No, I'm glad that I could hop in and, give you somebody to talk to tonight.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we got a full chat room here, and
Oh,
like I
man.
said, if anyone's got any questions, please feel free to put those in the comments. And if you have a question, please try to type it in all caps, just so I can see it on here. But why don't you go ahead and kind of tell us about how you got started with all of this?
I got started because I used to listen to all the radio. Well, I mean, if you want to go back to like the paranormally stuff, as a kid, it was just kind of normal. My family would always tell ghost stories, and it was kind of like, no, ghosts are real, So there was never a question of that being a thing. So if I ever saw anything, experienced anything, so then you start to say, well, what is it? Why is it happening? And then you get into like, and then so I got into all the ghost shows. Like I got really into ghost shows, and I was like, okay, I want to know more about that. And then I like at the same time I was also getting into like UFOs and conspiracies, because once you start researching one of these things, you start going in down all these different paths and you see how things are connected. So and then later I found out that there were people on the radio talking about this stuff. And so I was like, heck yeah. Heck yeah. So it kind of it all melded together into what I do now, and I talk about all kinds of things from UAPs, to conspiracies. I had Micah Dank on the other day. He talked about Illuminati hand symbols, like,
Yes,
right?
I just watched that, and because I think he was on what, last night?
Yes, he was. And I
Yes,
was like,
and
whoa.
I found I was quite riveted by that because, very, very knowledgeable guy, and just the misconception of, what all those hand signals, are,
Yeah.
and really just of the Illuminati in and of itself. I was riveted by the entire episode.
Oh, thank you. I was too. I was like, whoa, because it was like these simple things that you keep seeing and you're like, oh, so we explore things like that.
Mhm.
Miranda's been on the show.
Yeah.
We talk about paranormal. I've had UFO people on the show. I kind of talk about everything, and we're trying to connect all the dots. So we have to talk to everybody.
Absolutely. And that's what I like about your show is the fact that you do cover all of it. There's a lot of them, in the paranormal community that just talk to paranormal, or, in the ufology community just really stick with that. And that's perfectly fine, because you can really drill down and get into some really deep topics. But
For
I
sure.
love the variety, because do you think it all relates together?
I think it's all related. It's all this weird phenomenon that occurs in these different unseen dimensions that sometimes we catch a glimpse of, and that could have been talking about so many things right now, because it's all that.
Absolutely. So what's probably your favorite topic to discuss, or your favorite point of interest? I know
Well,
that's a hard question.
it's a hard question. I have been digging hard into UFOs for the past couple years, and a lot of people know me because of that.
Mhm.
But I've been so hyper focused lately that now I'm kind of moving out. Like, and believe it or not, Miranda, my past three guests, they're all talking about DMT. So we've been on like this DMT thing lately. You know, I had no idea. So I'm learning about that, and it's things like that. You learn these different things. So that's one thing. Remote viewing is something I'm really interested in right now.
Mhm.
Um, and then also kind of like demons lately. My thing is like demons are probably real. So
Mhm.
why don't people talk about them very much? They talk about UFOs a hell of a lot, but they
Mhm.
never talk about like not like open like, hey, I saw a demon or something. It's not. I want to hear. I want to know.
Yeah. And again, that's, like I said, that's what I like about your show is the fact you really have some great guests on there that very knowledgeable. I
Oh,
mean,
they're so fun to
you
show.
know, Yeah, yeah. And so let's kind of talk about your background a little bit because we actually have kind of a similar background. I didn't go into broadcast journalism, but I majored in communications with an
Mhm.
emphasis in advertising and journalism.
Oh, so
And
very
so
similar.
yeah, exactly. And so and you've got a great voice
Thank you.
for the radio and a great presence. So
Thank you.
was that a hard decision to not, go into the broadcasts or the mainstream side of it
I
and go with the direction you went?
I think it was hard at the beginning because I had really the whole time I was in school, I saw myself working like at a station or at a cable, a cable channel,
Mhm.
and it wasn't necessarily I didn't necessarily need to be in front of the camera. I also had the skills to be behind the camera and do other things. So in either way, I was like I always saw myself in that kind of role, and then I got out of school. And after my internships were like I had fun ass internships. I interned at the video game channel that was around for a
Oh,
while. So that was like a cake. So there's video games everywhere. It's not where you're gonna work.
right.
You know what I mean? So I'm like, no,
Right.
this is great. I mean, 'cause it's exactly what I'm gonna do. So I try to go get a job there after school, right? Well,
Mhm.
somebody else bought the channel. It was not fun anymore. All the fun? Oh, they took the fun away from like the whole office area and all that. The fun was gone, and I was like, oh, so I'm basically just working in an office now. Yeah, yeah. I could do this, at home,
Yeah.
But the news, really going into the news and those interviews for like those positions, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I was like, no, it's not me. And that's why I tried to go into like more of a niche category.
Mhm. Yeah, and that's what a lot of people actually find. I found the same thing when I got out of school with what I did. I ended up going into the more marketing route,
Hmm.
and because with my emphasis being in advertising, I wanted to go into the creative side of it. But the more I got into it, the more I realized I did not want to work at an advertising agency,
See?
and and I loved writing the news stories. I loved my media writing class, but,
Mhm.
my professor, he was this, he was a very old guy. He had retired, out of the news industry, and I remember talking to him, and he was like, "Don't don't go into it." He's like, "Don't go into that as your job." He's like, You wanna enjoy it. Things have changed so much
Mm.
in the news industry." And so a lot of respect for you for going more into more of the niche market, more of the fringe, non-mainstream market, because I mean, at this point, I can't watch I can't watch mainstream media
No.
anymore or mainstream news anymore.
No, I can't. It seems so fake when you watch it now versus like because we're used to talking to people like this and seeing like this people like us telling
Mhm.
us what's going on and reading articles, and then you see these news people with the news like, I did that. I did that a lot. I did the whole, with the jacket on, sitting behind the desk, reading the paper, but it's like when you're actually doing like that part of it, it just feels like you're a freaking performer anyways. You're not doing like the
Mhm.
anchors, you're just reading. You're literally
Yeah.
just reading. You didn't even write it.
You had the news writers
Yeah.
that did that.
So yeah, so you're based so I did that for a lot because it was like that's all it is. Or you because I didn't really like reporting because I didn't like going out there with the camera person and all this and that and having to like interview people like because that's how I interviewed people, guys, with a microphone in my hand, holding it out and going like, "Thank you." I can't believe I can't. It's like it seems so long ago. I can't believe that.
I know. I've been in my career for gosh, 21 years now, and yeah. working back there, in my first couple jobs, it's just like, oh my gosh, that seems like such a lifetime ago. And I agree with, the comments on here, the news being depressing, and mainstream media stopped watching 20 years ago, and I don't miss it. I
No.
can't do it. The
Mm-mm.
more that the news it one and not getting into, anything political or anything like that, but everything is just it just doesn't seem it seems the bias is taken out, or I mean it or unbiasedness, excuse me,
Oh
is
yeah.
taken out of the media today, and then just being drilled in with this constant bad news. It's just I can't do it.
You can't. It is like, some say it's like a form of mind control. It's a psyop to always make us feel horrible. You probably think about your professor. I think about my old professor, like who was the old news guy,
Mhm.
who like he was like an old newsman. And I think he would flip out if he was alive today and see what this is. I remember him saying like, you cannot have bias. Your job
That's
is to
right.
report the news. What happened, your opinion doesn't matter. That's not what it is. It's not an opinion piece.
Mhm.
And you have to have sources, and there's rules about sources and being able to like say something. You have to have like three sources before you say, are able to say something. So
Mhm.
and then even if you look, my other complaint is just every single site has the same news stories. They're just in different orders and told in different ways.
Yeah. Yeah.
God, it's horrible. So
And
I try not to do that.
right, so let's talk a little bit about your news
Yeah.
on the Rogie Report, because
Yes.
I know we've got some folks on here that watch you, hear you every week giving your report. So let's talk a little bit about it.
So the news segments are like little 3-minute news segments, and they play throughout the day. So I make a new one 5 times a week, and then they play them on the station throughout the day. And so I go every I try to do them at most like 2 days in advance, because I try to keep them fresh, because I things change, and
Sure.
I hate it if I have it done and something happens, and then I'm like, I gotta go back, and now I gotta take that story out, and I gotta, because it with the radio, it's all like, it's all
Mhm.
broadcasting, and it's all about the time. You have to get the timing on, so it's very precise. You can't be over 3 minutes. You have to kind of just be at 3 minutes, and it's not even 3 minutes, because you gotta have music at the beginning and the end. So there's math involved, guys. I don't think people know that. But yeah, the stories, I pick everything from, like, if there's paranormal stories, which there's not many picked up, but sometimes, there's stuff that's picked up in the mainstream, or cryptid stuff.
Mhm.
Um a lot of space stuff. UFO stuff has been huge lately, in the mainstream, so we're pulling that and talking about that. But yeah, it's everything, technology, what's coming, ancient discoveries, things like that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing right now. It's a good time for fringe news,
Yeah.
especially UFO news.
Oh, there's so much UFO news. Like, this past year, I'd say we've had a lot of scientific groups formed. There's the Galileo Project, and I think there's a UAPX or something, where there's these scientists, and they're getting together, and they're what's the other one? Jeez, somebody in the chat might know. But they're putting together these camera systems that, watch the sky, and different people get them all across the world, and then, they can network all these pictures together and see what they capture.
That's cool.
So this is the first time these like huge projects are taking place all over the world. There's a committee that's been formed in Italy for the European UAP people.
Mhm.
There's stuff going on here in the Pentagon. They're setting up a UAP office, to be open about, they're taking that information now from all the different branches. So this is the first time all this information is going to be able to be, I don't know, crossed over, what crossed? I don't know. forgot the word. Like cross whatever. They'll just be able to combine all that,
Cross-reference.
cross-reference all the data and be able to see what they come up with.
And see, that's fascinating to me. And it tells you if they're taking the time and the effort to do this, there's something for us to be paying attention to. I don't think they're being completely transparent, obviously, but it's definitely a sign that there's something out there that people need to be that everybody's kind of watching out for.
Yeah, exactly. So it's this, but and I see it too big for like the whole community of paranormal people, because it's like once this door opens, like are we going to openly talk about other things,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
I think it's just like a step. It's the most for people. It's like, oh, maybe I can grasp this because it has a picture and it has a video from the military.
Right, right. And of course it obviously that makes it more credible, right?
Yeah,
When you
exactly.
when you the government and the military makes it more credible. We actually have a question here. D Hoot asks, "Do you discuss conspiracy theories like i.e. the Kennedys?"
Kennedys. I haven't had anybody on that talks about Kennedy yet, but I can, since if there's an interest.
It seems like, you know, it, it seems like there's an interest in anything, especially when there's conspiracies, and conspiracy theories are so big right now with just everything going on. Do you ever, let's see, I'm keeping an eye here on the comments. Have you ever had any topics like conspiracy theories or UFOs, UAPs, that sort of thing that I don't want to say has gotten you in trouble, but has gotten kind of certain eyes on you, or been kicked off when you've been talking about certain things, or because I know you talk about a lot of really interesting, deep things. And if you can't talk about it, I understand too. But
No, I mean, I guess I can tell you because I watch him anyways. No, it was so funny. I guess I have several times of shows being cut off. I mean, I know I know when I interviewed who was it? Jesus Christ, I can't remember his name. I was interviewing someone and I can't remember his name. His name escapes me right now. But he was like on he was being watched by the government, so he was like, "Well, every 5 minutes my computer's gonna slow down," and it did every 5 minutes because they kept checking his computer.
wow.
Yeah, so I knew on that one, but, but no, I've had a lot shut down. I've had weird things happen, weird noises during calls, where you're like, "Oh, what is that?" But the most interesting thing I ever had was I reported on this, military exercise that wasn't really getting a lot of press, but I'm kind of a weapons, I I don't know about weapons and airplanes and militaries, but I like to read about what they're developing, like, that's kind of
Mhm.
like a nerdy thing I do. So sometimes I talk about it on the news, and, so, I go to a shit ton of military sites, and so I talk about it, and then on my LinkedIn, I see it was somebody's ex, like, head of security in a very high position in the country, like, one of the highest.
Of
So,
course, because, on LinkedIn, it says, and hello,
it's
LinkedIn world, where we're
yeah,
broadcasting.
so
Uh,
yeah, hi,
the
sir, because it shows you who the heck
who
looked at you. Because I was like,
yes.
"He knows." I was like, "He knows, clearly he knows what I'm talking about," or there's not either that or they see I keep hitting these same sites, and I'm also subscribed to the newsletter for all these defense sites, so I'm on they're like, "What is this woman looking at?"
Right. And so, it's like, because that's the thing, because on LinkedIn, people can look at your profile, they can look at it private, but they can look at it, you can see. And so clearly they wanted you to know they know.
Yes, they wanted me to know I know. I reported on this exercise, and I think it was a military I think I could talk about it now. I mean, they've done it twice now, so it's but it was a military exercise in Arizona where Project Convergence, where they're trying to link like all the different weapons together so that, they converge and then they can work in sync, like with tanks, drones, and like AI and stuff, things like that. So I reported on it next day. So I think after that, yeah. So after that, I didn't talk about military stuff for a little bit.
Yeah, I can understand. Take a little break,
Took a
let it
little
refresh,
break. Yeah.
recycle.
I
So
still love
Enzo,
it.
exactly. I mean, it's fascinating.
It
It's really
is.
fascinating. And I mean, if you weren't supposed to know, it shouldn't
They
even be on these other sites,
It's all
you know?
over. I mean, it's their sites. It's like, I get emails for their conferences now.
You'd be showing up at one of those and
I'm like, hey guys.
like, who's this? Enzo, I think he's answering your question from what you were talking about a minute ago. The
Thank you, Enzo.
SCU, yeah, was the other group, Scientific Coalition of the UAP Studies. Thanks, Enzo. And then D Hoot says research Madeline Brown, the Ken Mutchison tapes,
What
for
is that?
anyone who is interested. Thanks,
Ken?
D.
I don't know. I've never heard of that.
Murchison. I need to have my glasses on.
Yeah,
Apparently,
I'm
I
like, I
can't.
can't quite see from here. I know. I need new glasses. It happens.
Yeah.
Okay. I got Marchinson tape, so hopefully that helps.
Yes, and if anyone, and that kind of takes me to the next question. If anyone has something that they would like for you to cover, do you take? I guess take requests.
I do. I have a patron who's like, Jess, I just want something about. No, you'll love this. He's been like hounding me about trying to like get some connection to missing 411 stuff. So I found I have a lady coming on who has like some psychic thing to say about the missing 411 stuff.
Oh, see, that's cool. That's a topic, and you and I may have even talked about this kind of in some of our.
You're the one who got me to watch it. I was like, what the heck? I don't like this. I don't want to go out. I don't want to go outside ever now.
For me, there's nothing more creepier. I can sleep in abandoned buildings and, go off and do these things, but missing 411, if I sit and listen to some of these stories before I go to bed, they just they just stick with me, and I think about it and I have dreams, and it's one of those things, just anyone that disappears and vanishes without a trace. And then when you start looking at, the similarities. I actually had Steve Stockton on my show last week, and he
Yes.
does, he does the missing and disappearances, and he's written several books on missing and disappearances and strange phenomenon in the woods, and
Scared of the woods.
fascinating discussion. Yeah, and a lot. You're in California, correct?
Yeah, we don't have woods.
A lot of weird disappearances there, though, in your
Oh no.
national parks out there. Yeah.
Guess where I don't go? I don't go to those national parks. I know that's where people disappear.
Exactly, and the runners are always the ones that find the bodies,
I know. It just creeps me out because they say like, and then the thing. There's like a storm comes, a weather change, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. There's no way I'm going out there.
Well, I look forward to that. So if somebody would like to see a topic covered, or reach out to you with anything, what is the best way to do that?
You can do it on social media. Basically, I'm on Instagram is good, Twitter is good. Um, you can get me on Facebook, but you have to add me, and if I don't know you, I won't add you back. So that's not helpful. So just Instagram and Twitter are best actually to get a hold of
Okay.
me.
And we'll put all of that on in the show notes there. I know I've got your YouTube page as well as the Rogge Report
Mhm.
Facebook page there. So we'll pull some of that up here in a few minutes. Russ asks, what do you predict will be the next thing to happen in the disclosure saga?
My prediction is it's gonna be a slow moving process because they have to collect a lot. I mean, if we're talking from the government standpoint, and if we're talking about government disclosure, not disclosure, I don't know, like, so I think it's gonna be a long drawn out process. I'm gonna be having Frank Milburn on, and he's written a bunch of papers, and he's like a ex I don't know, military fancy dude, and he knows all this shit. So I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. You're
Oh,
fine.
can we curse? We're on LinkedIn. We're
You're
on
fine.
LinkedIn. It's LinkedIn I'm scared of, but
this is my first time broadcasting there, so
sorry, guys.
who knows?
But he would say that because I've talked to him about this before, and collecting all the data is just going to take a lot of time from all the different branches of the military, and also from the aviation, and to take that and compile it is going to take a heck of a lot of time. and a lot of manpower to put it together before they can come to a conclusion too. And it's not really going retroactively. It's more like from here forward where we set up this whole
Oh.
the standards of the report. So it's here forward, and they're going to retroactively look at some of the older stuff too. But this is just like the biggest data collection. I mean, in the history of the world. It's bigger than all those private organizations. Our military's all over the world. We got people flying all over the place. We got people in boats all over the place. In the freaking most remote parts of the world, we have our people. So if
Wow.
anybody sees something, they report it and we know, you know? So that combined with the private data, we're probably going to have a pretty good idea
Mm-hmm.
that they're happening all over the world all the time. And it's just
Wow.
people to witness it.
And it's going to be neat to see those similarities, because I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to like statistics and
Nerds.
analytics. I mean, I'm an artsy person, but I love statistics and analytics, and that's why like the missing 411 stuff is fascinating, with that. And then with this, I'm always fascinated speaking to I had Preston Dennett on, and thanks to your recommendation, and
I love Preston.
yeah, Preston was wonderful. Actually, I ended up having him on twice last year.
Love
And
him.
because when we were talking, when we started talking about the implants, I got kicked off.
Oh, shoot.
I was kicked off. So and it was a very bizarre thing because the whole podcast did not shut down. It stayed rolling. He was on there. I couldn't log back on.
What the
And so
heck?
it was the
It was
weirdest
this. It was
thing.
StreamYard too,
It
right?
was StreamYard.
That
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense.
I couldn't log onto the internet. I couldn't log onto StreamYard. Preston's sitting there. I'm messaging him through my phone saying, okay. And thankfully we were 5 minutes till the show was going to be over. And I'm like, okay, I am trying, but it is not letting me connect. And so I could not shut down the StreamYard feed, and it ran for 30 minutes after. I ended up having to go onto my phone, download it on my phone, log in. Well, when I did that, it actually logged me in as a guest. So I'm sitting there commenting in the feed like, guys, I'm here, but the screen was black.
They wouldn't let you could get back in.
Yeah, I could, and I don't know why it didn't just completely shut down. It was the weirdest thing. And so we kind of laughed about it. And of course I said, we'll have Preston on. And it was I have the best people that watch the show and comment because they stayed on and they were continuing to comment, and new people were coming on. And so
It's awesome.
it was so strange. And so I was able to finally, I'm trying to remember how I even logged in and shut the feed down. I can't even remember, but I know that Preston and I talked a little bit afterwards because I'd never had anything like that happen before, and I could not get on the internet until sometime the next day. It came back on sometime in the middle of the night the next morning. And what was weird about it is, so after everything shuts down, I go online and I go to my internet provider and I'm searching to see if like there's some kind of weird service outage, and it doesn't show anything on the map. But when I called the number, they said, "Oh, you're experiencing a service outage in your area. If you would like for us to send you a text when it comes," or they first said, "If you'd like for us to call you be before 11 o'clock, we'll call. Otherwise, we'll text you and let you know." And so I said, "Yes, please do that." Never received a text. Never showed. It showed my Wi-Fi was fine. It wouldn't connect. And then sometime in the middle of the night, the next morning when I go to get on, I'm able to get on. I had no text telling me that the service was back and no calls saying it was back, which they always do that because I'm with Spectrum and they always do that. So I thought that was a kind of a, you can explain some things, but that's kind of strange.
It's like a weird coincidence. You're like, you're like, it's just too weird.
Yeah.
When you talk about weird stuff and then stuff gets shut down, like one time I was on another show with my friend Eric, and we were talking about this. Me and him started talking about the Egyptian artifacts that were found in the Grand Canyon. And
Oh.
as soon as we started, this is a couple years back, we had seen it on some. As soon as we started talking about it, we heard this call is being recorded.
What?
And we're like, who's recording? So we sat there, we're like, is this being recorded? It was so bizarre.
And it makes you wonder if there's somebody in a control room and they're sitting there and they're like, listen to what they're talking about. They're like, okay, let's do this. Let's let them know we know.
Yeah,
And
like the guy from a former administration that was like on my LinkedIn. It's like, we want you to know. We want you to know that we know, so we just want you to let, and you're like,
it's like, there's your warning shot.
there's your warning. They're like, Miranda, we'd like it if you did not talk about implants.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. And yeah, Al Cooley here from Ghosts in the Valley podcast says, on my podcast, my UFOs over Trumbull County episode has been taken down 3 times. This happened in
Trumbull
1994.
County. Oh, I'm curious about that case now. Is
Yeah.
it up now? Is it still up?
We'll see if he responds. I had a friend who, when he was talking about certain things, his YouTube videos would get flagged as like either bad language or things that were inappropriate for kids. And it was interesting because, he was very particular with his podcasts that he talked about some interesting things, but he never used bad language or anything that would appear to, draw attention to that. And he was constantly having to go back and forth. We've got the Dream Point says, have you all thought about covering the Sugar Flat Road monster in Lebanon, Tennessee?
I have not heard of that monster. Have you?
I've not. And I actually lived not too far from Lebanon, Tennessee. When I went to college, I went to MTSU there in Murfreesboro, which was only 30 minutes there from Lebanon. I have not. And I'm going to be having the Dream Point on my show here, I think, in 2 weeks. And so have to look into that a little bit further. I love stories about cryptids and monsters in some of these areas that are specific to towns or areas.
Yes. Oh, those are so fun. They're always so fun.
Do you cover much when it comes to cryptids?
Not much lately. I did a lot of cryptid stuff a few years ago when I was doing a show called Strange Tales Weekly. But I can talk. I mean, I used to love to talk to like Bigfoot researchers. They're a lot of fun. They're like really into the Bigfoot craft, the craft of studying Bigfoot. But no, I got really into them. I did a couple little videos for Strange Tales Weekly where I did like my top 10 cryptids or something, like that. And I did this rare cryptid in Vietnam it's basically a giant millipede that swims in the river. And I forgot what the name of it was, but I asked my mom because she's from Vietnam, and she said no, that was totally a thing. She's like, there were these huge like gross millipede things in the water, like, ew.
Wow.
So some cryptids, they are real and they're based off something, you know what I mean? Like the animals in the area. Like one of my favorites is the hodag too. I forgot.
Okay.
Where's the Rhinelander? It's in what state is it in? But it's like this little kind of flat-bodied, like 4-legged lizard-bodied thing with like horns, and it like runs around. And I forgot what it eats, but what's great is there's a picture of it from like the 1800s, and a man killed it, and they're all standing with it, but it looks like a paper mache monster, So I think the tale for that one is like, is it real, or was it just that guy made the thing, and like people are like, it's probably real.
Well, we have a story that we tell there at the historic Scott County Jail that Dr. Sumner and I run, called the Scott County Devil, or the Helenwood Devil.
Ooh.
And so we have this huge, it's like a 4-foot poster of this thing, and it always gets interest when folks come in because a lot of the locals have heard of it. But in 1921, this guy, Cruz Sexton, he unearthed this. He called it a demon or a devil. He unearthed it from a cave on his property, and it's got horns. It almost has like boobs or something, almost kind of like a fertility god
Mm.
type thing. And they said it was a giant, which they said it was 6'4". So I guess back in 1921, 6'4" was tall.
Yeah, right?
And so he unearthed it, and they actually took it to the train depot, and it sat at the train depot for quite some time there in Helenwood. And so when the trains would come up, they would charge 25 cents to the people getting off the trains, which 25 cents back in
Then must
1921 was quite a bit of money.
Right, right.
And so it sat there, and then it ended up started making these rounds. It ended up showing up at a fair in Kentucky, and then they say it made an appearance at the 1980 World's Fair, and then it hasn't been seen since.
Ooh.
And so different people like to come to the area and look for the Helenwood Devil. And so it's one of those things where it's like, was it some big elaborate hoax for 1921? Or was it something that, which when you look back at that time, I'm always amazed, when they show like the old pictures of, like the Loch Ness Monster and the old Bigfoot pictures and the old UFOs. And like today, it's easier to do a hoax.
Very easy.
I would imagine it would be interesting to see how some of the hoaxes and stuff back in the day were done from at that point in time. Probably a lot more work and
probably right.
a lot more elaborate.
Like it's like the fairy. You've seen the fairy pictures where they have the little girls with the fairies, and people
Yes.
thought that people thought they were fairies, and come to find out they were. I guess because the quality of the photography, it just happened to work where they cut out the little paper dolls and set them up, and boom, pictures with fairies.
Wow. And when was that? That
was man, was that turn of the century, like Victorian times? Hold on, let me see. Fairy, I'm gonna try to keep talking. Fairy photos. It was in, let's see, 1917.
Wow.
Yeah, because let's see, hold on, is this not right? Let's see, because Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the guy who wrote Sherlock Holmes, was like, "Hey, those are real," But let's see. Yeah, no, it's all Victorian times. They have the low bows and the big floofy.
Wow. Yeah, that's something I didn't recently know too much about until the fairies and fae and that sort of thing. And really, I didn't know a whole lot about it until I started researching the missing 411 and the missing and disappearances. I never really gave it much thought because to me, fairies and fae was always something, back Peter Pan and just, Brothers Grimm and all those top stories. I never really gave it much thought and thought about it as a cryptid thing. But when you start researching, no wonder Tinkerbell was kind of a little bitch,
Right.
And so, when you start kind of looking at the history of it, they're a pretty aggressive.
They're not. I don't think they're nice, right?
I don't think they are. I've not done enough research to talk on it, but and Enzo does say Cottingley Fairies in 1917. Right. Thank you so much. Yeah, I had no idea, and apparently, according to the interview that I had with Mr. Stockton last week, that one of the characteristics of the disappearances happens around berry patches. And so,
interesting.
Yeah, it's one of the theories of some of these missing it's the fact that these fairies are, kind of play a part in it. Yeah, and I've heard some stories from down in I want to say it's down in like Brazil, or maybe it's Chile, where they were talking about like wearing the bright colors and stuff in that. Well, I guess I'm getting that one confused with the little people. I'm not sure. I don't think they're the same. I'm
I
not
don't
really for
know.
sure.
I don't know. Maybe they're all like in under the same like family, but they're different.
Maybe so. It's I just to me that kind of blew my mind because I never really thought about that.
Yeah, I don't know much about fairies. I do have a fairy person coming on though. I think in a couple,
Ah,
either I think in March, because
yeah.
it's fairy and fae. Because I don't know, and there's a UFO connection because there's a book that this guy named Jack Valet wrote, and he talks about these experiences that people have been having like since the beginning of time, seeing crap in the sky, be seeing or having visitors at night, having encounters with beings, you know, is it all just from like this fae or fairy realm too? Is that connected? Is
Wow.
that all part of it too?
See, it's interesting because there's such a wide array of topics.
Exactly.
And, when I'm talking with people about the paranormal, I'm like, there's so many things to kind of I don't want to use the word specialize, but to, really dig in deep and research when it comes to, the paranormal. So when you really start looking at the supernatural side of things and unexplained phenomena, I mean, there's all these little rabbit holes and stuff that you can go down and um, connect and link everything. And again, things I would have never thought about fae and fairies having a connection with UFOs, but
Right.
it's fascinating. We'll have to, here in a few minutes, whenever you're promoting your show, you'll have to talk about some of the people you're going to be having on
Yeah, I've got
and that sort of thing.
so many great guests coming. I was trying to be like you, but I've got March. I'm almost done with March, getting March booked up. So I'm like, yes, I want to get booked out because if it feels good, it feels less stressful, and you can like slowly add people, and you'll be fine.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. And with everything I've had going on, that's trying to get people and last minute and build my posters and my marketing. I feel like that's one last thing I have to do, and I can really focus on the interviews and the pre-show research and that sort of thing. Um,
Exactly.
let's see. Ronnie says there are videos out there of fairies, pretty interesting, but don't know what to think. I'm kind of the same way. I find it interesting, and I'm always love checking the stuff out. I'm just not sure.
Yeah,
That's how I've always been with cryptids, and I don't know if fairy and fae is classified as a cryptid or just
a different. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah,
but that's how I've always been with cryptids and why I haven't really done a whole lot of study on them, just because I don't know, you know?
yeah.
Um, I find them interesting, but I've just not gone into that, that study of them. Um, and then, let's see, um, and then Russ says, "I heard a rumor once that Sir Arthur Conan Doyle was actually Jack the Ripper."
Maybe Russ. I don't know. I don't specialize in Sir Arthur Conan Doyle like you, Russ.
Is Russ
No, I don't know if he
a
actually
a
is.
Doyle fan?
I wouldn't be shocked though. He's like, "Ah, I really do love him, Jess. I know everything."
I'm a serial killer fanatic, but,
Well, I like the old school serial killer stuff. I'm not so much I don't know if there's any new stuff, but like I like the old school stuff. Even like I hate it, but like even like, the Night Stalker stuff I looked into. I'm just like, why? Why, Jess? Why?
yeah. I know exactly what you mean. So let's talk just a little bit about some of the different shows and stuff that you have coming up.
Oh man, I've got so much coming up. Next week, I've got my good friend Navier coming on, and we're going to be talking about the Akashic Records, which is like this energetic record thing that apparently, like, maybe everybody can access it. I don't know much about it. I've heard the word tossed around so much, so want her to come on and explain it to us and kind of tell us like how she works with it.
Hmm.
And then I got Jeff Rennell next week too, but he's feeling sick, so I'm not sure if that'll work out. And then that I'm not. And then after that, hold on. I'll give the next week, and then let's see. Then I've got David Powell, who's a remote viewer, and he's like a legit like remote viewer, and he trained with some fancy. I just got his bio today. I don't have it, so I don't know exactly who he trained with, but he did some crazy stuff, and he's gonna go over the history of it, like his practice with it, and like what it's used for, and what the targets, and explain the whole thing. And then
Nice.
after that, we have Nathan Gillis, who's a demonologist. Because I told you I have a demon. I'm going through a demon, like a curiosity, like just want to know. I just want to know. So we have a demonologist coming on.
Hmm.
Then the following Monday, this last show for January is Frank Milburn, and Frank Milburn is a UAP. He's right there. He did the Pentagon UAP Task Force paper and the American Development of UAP Technology
Very
paperwork.
cool.
Yeah, he's like an intelligence guy. That's what he is.
Okay. Well, that would be fascinating.
Oh, he's freaking cool, man. So cool.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. So, I mean, you've got a great collection of videos here from some of
Thank
your
you.
past shows. Like I said, I watched last night the Illuminati, the Illuminati hand signals with Micah Dank, and
Yeah, he's great.
that was very interesting. Yeah, he did a great job of explaining things. I
He
really
does. He's like he's so cool, like and smart. He pulls all these different things and he like puts it into a book too, like all this stuff that he's researched.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So is this the best place to go back and watch past episodes? Is on your YouTube, or is it better to go to your Facebook?
I would
Or I
say
mean
my
the Road Report.
I mean, well, because I would say go to the YouTube page. It's easier. You can go through them. I do have a link on my website. I do have the audio podcast on there as well, but now they're kind of one and the same.
Okay.
So if you'd like to listen more than watch, if you like to do it on the while you're driving or at the gym, you can listen to the podcast. And then we also have the live shows as well.
Okay. And where do they watch the live shows at?
Okay. So so live shows you can catch. I think I'm coming back on the Fringe. I've been on a break, so the shows are coming back on the Fringe. Gonna tell everybody about the times for that, but right
Okay.
now we're doing 5 p.m. Pacific to 7 p.m. Pacific, Mondays and Wednesdays each week right now. And then find me on YouTube and the Fringe FM once I get my schedule out.
Nice, nice. Yeah, and you can find her schedule that's coming up, because I think you post, like, the, past for and actually, I'm just gonna go ahead and share that page as well, share your, let me pull it up here, Facebook page. Um, I saw let's
See, it
see.
should be. I have a little thing that
Yeah, where you've
usually
got
has the
the
little thing of upcoming. Nope, where is it? Nope. Is it before Drew? Man, when was it? When did I right
there
there?
you go. Let's see here.
Yep. So that was who we just had.
Oh, okay, yes, because it
I
was
think I
leading up
posted.
to
I haven't posted that on. See, that's the thing too. You have to remember. You post it here, you post it here, you post it here, and you post it here.
exactly.
So it went to Instagram, but it didn't go to Facebook.
I knew I saw it somewhere, and I think I had just seen it on Instagram. So, um, so yeah, I definitely, guys, definitely check out her YouTube page, Facebook page. Facebook page, she posts all the different folks that she's got coming up,
Hmm.
and also, like she said, on Instagram.
Yes, on Instagram, Twitter, and that's about it for social media.
Just that.
Yeah. God, I don't want to add anything. There's so many.
I know how you feel. I created a TikTok page, but I've yet to put
I
anything
can't do
on
it.
it.
I can't do
I'm just for me, it's been hard managing the Scott County, pages that we have there for the jail, and then also the Ghost Biker pages, and then your professional LinkedIn and your Ghost Biker LinkedIn,
it.
and post something to Facebook, then post it to Instagram, and so much.
It's so much, and then sometimes you forget, and you're like, "Darn it, darn it."
And then if you don't like post it now, if you post it later tonight, it's irrelevant because
Yeah, because you have you have to
It's
post it
old
at the
news.
you have to post it at the right time too.
Yeah. And yeah, Enzo says Jess has a great back catalog of shows on her YouTube.
Oh, thank you, Enzo.
And yeah, I mean, you guys, your guests, they get into some great deep topics. And like I said, I've enjoyed meeting several different people through you. Are you still doing show production? You still
Yes,
producing some shows?
yes.
Okay. Yeah. So do it all.
Yeah, I do as much as I can. I mean, and I'm doing some voiceover too, so that's been fun.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
You're like the third person in the last little bit that I've talked to that's gotten into voiceovers.
I
That's
think you could do it too.
Oh, well, thank you. If anyone wants a mountain hillbilly voice,
I love your
that's
voice.
well, thank you, thank you, and same to you. You
Thank
have
you.
that unmistakable voice when the Rogie Report comes on.
Oh,
It's
thank you.
you, it's you. And Al Cooley says, "I love the Rogie Report. Great show."
Oh, thank you, Al Cooley.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in here. We're going to go ahead and wrap things up here in just a few minutes. Like I said, be watching the Ghost Biker Explorations Facebook page, YouTube channel, LinkedIn page, Instagram page. Be watching all of those if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel. Very excited because we're getting more people on there and being able to broadcast on all these different formats and do interactions. Hoping to be able to be doing some different lives from some different locations at some of those places. I've seen it mentioned in the comments over here. Yes, the season 4 season finale is still coming. Just a whole lot going on here. So for the season 4 season finale of Ghost Biker Explorations will be coming soon. And like I said, stay tuned for more information on different events that are coming up. My guest on next week's show, I want to make sure I say it right. If everyone stays healthy and well and everything stays good, next week will be Mike Ricksecker. So real excited about having Mike on. Yeah, I got to meet him in person for the first time when I was out in New Mexico at the Las Cruces Paracon. So busy man traveling all over the country. And in fact, I think he does some world travels with different paranormal events and stuff. So really excited.
I have him coming
Oh, do you really?
next month.
Nice.
When you said the name, I was like, I have him. I'm not copying you, Miranda. It just happened.
You didn't even know.
I didn't even know. Isn't that funny?
That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Very, very knowledgeable guy. And so so I'll be looking forward to seeing him on your show as well.
Same. I'm gonna watch him on your show first. It'll be great. Oh,
Nice.
awesome.
Use it as pre-show.
You're my research.
There you go. It's great when that works out.
It worked out so beautiful. How funny.
So he's going to be on next week, and like I said, just to make sure I'm telling you all right, the Dream Poet Chet Guthrie will be on the week after that. So very interesting story with what he does. He's up and coming YouTube vlogger. And so, yeah, he hits some really cool places and just a really cool story. He's also a fellow media graduate, journalism graduate. So yeah, very, very interesting guy. Looking forward to having him as well as many others on. So again, thank you guys in the chat room.
Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, we appreciate you all for joining in with questions and comments. Thank you, Jess, for coming on such short notice and
anytime.
Nice. Well, we'll definitely have you back a little bit later on in the year to follow up. Maybe we'll have some new fringe news and stuff that we can talk about as well.
Maybe we'll see. Maybe there'll be a mass UFO sighting over a big city, and then we'll be like, oh my God.
Call it out. Call it out to the universe.
There we go.
And again, thank you guys so much. And we'll see you all next week at 9 p.m. Eastern time on these 3 platforms. And until then, stay warm, stay safe, and stay well.